Someone asked, so who invented the periodic table? Was it such and such or such and such? And it pissed me off. It's completely redundant. The periodic table is pseudosciences. Engineers produced all of our chemical experiments and all of our chemical achievements throughout history. Mathematicians using the periodic table never accomplished anything. You don't come into an experiment with a predetermined result unless you've already predetermined the results based on a chemical trial based on something that an engineer had previously accomplished. They don't use fucking math in the periodic table to do chemistry. They use trial and error experiments. So you get these bozos up in space. They're basically like grade 5 kids, and they pretend like they're smart because they can do math. And the math has nothing to do with what they're doing, but they don't tell that to anyone because they're being paid by the military. Because you sponsor this pseudoscience, and the military takes the funds to fund their rockets and their military, and they do everything that they're fucking doing. And you're paying for that. So it's a mechanism of politics to siphon off your taxes. They do not predetermine what's going to have reactions unless they've already determined that there will be a specific reaction based on previous trials. Without the previous trials, everything is up in the air. They don't know shit. It's not based on the chemical formula of something which they've created. You have this chemical compound which is determined by what they assume to be what they assume it is, and they have another compound that's comprised of what they assume for it to be consumed of because it was made by man. And when you put these two things together for the first time, it's a chemical trial. It's conducted by an engineer. It's not conducted by a mathematician. They didn't previously formulate exactly what you're going to come up with. They've got two completely new compounds, two completely new elements with unpredicted reactions. That's called engineering. That has nothing to do with the periodic table. They just allocate all of their findings to the periodic table redundantly for no reason. Because then everyone else thinks, oh, you have to be a mathematician. So all these mathematicians, they go to school and then they get all full of themselves because they spent so much time and money going to school thinking they're smarter than other people. And then they're doing these trials for the military. Not based on science and math and the periodic table, but based on sucking up our taxes to put rockets in the sky. It's a pseudoscience. They're manipulative and conceited pieces of shit. All chemistry, all achievements in chemistry throughout humanity's existence was conducted by trial and error, not mathematical formulas or equations determined on the periodic table. Now, some people will like to say, well, you look at this on the periodic table or you look at that on the periodic table, and when we put these two things, we get this reaction. That trial and that experiment has already been conducted so many times. That's why those elements are allocated to these mathematical equation locations and situations on the table. That doesn't mean that we're limited to, what was it, 56, 132 elements? That's a redundancy. You can determine this because they haven't actually broken everything up. That's why you end up with these positive and negative energies, these multiple neutrons, all these different arrangements of the molecules, because when they put in substances that they're not used to, they end up with bizarre results and no results and mundane results and mute results. So they accommodate for that by just making up more shit. So that's where the pseudoscience comes in. They just make shit up. It's theoretical sciences. Theoretical sciences are pseudosciences. They're not actual sciences. And that's where they allocate all of their nullified findings. Any finding they find that doesn't have a result, it's not a predicted result, they put it into the theoretical science section because it doesn't fit their formula. And if they forsake their formula, then nothing makes sense, and then they don't need mathematicians anymore. They only need engineers. And then so